I was traveling, and on one leg of the trip, what I thought was a 2-hour layover was actually a 26-hour wait. I didn't have the right visa to leave the airport, and the customs guy said I wouldn't be able to stay overnight. So I asked him if I could buy a visa anywhere at the airport. He gave me a price, but it was in the local currency and I didn't know the exchange rate. The ATM would only dispense USD for an American card, so I took out $100 and went back to the desk. I handed the customs official the money and asked, "Is this enough?" It wasn't until I saw him put it in his pocket before stamping my passport that I realized I had just paid a bribe. Used to buy single cigarettes from a corner store all the time when I was in high school. I went to a different store once, asked for 2 Newports. Clerk sets down 2 packs and I set down 50. We were both very confused. Turns out selling single ciggies is a big no-no. I took what I assumed was a free mint chocolate from a bowl at the pay station of a Mexican restaurant. After we had left, my then boyfriend kindly pointed out to me that those were 25 cents each and started laughing at how I just nonchalantly took a piece. I asked him to turn around so I could pay, but he didn't, saying not to worry about it. I went back the next day to give them their quarter, and the manager thought it was really funny. Said it happens all the time, but no one had ever returned to the scene of the crime to admit guilt and offer retribution. Almost every day in college, I'd stop at a gas station near my place to pick up a snack, drink, whatever. And on my way out, I would grab a copy of the newspaper from the stand right next to the door, without paying for it. Every time. Because my dumbass for some reason thought newspapers were free. I was oblivious until my college boyfriend finally saw me do it and pointed out I was stealing. Oopsies. I took a fake knife to school for a magic show, planned on stabbing myself and ta-da, no blood. Unfortunately, I showed a friend early in the day and he ran around recess pretending to stab about 10 kids. Ended up in office with police and my mother. 3rd grade, I believe. This was in '97. I'm sure it would have been a hit at the talent show had it not caused complete panic during recess. It was very realistic. I bought some books to study up on Thailand before spending a summer there. Didn't finish the biography of the king I was reading, so I brought it with me on my trip. A bit into the trip, some Thai students saw me reading it and were very interested. Found out that the biography I was reading was banned in the country. I could get jail time if I was caught with it. And they really wanted to borrow it so they could copy it to read for themselves to see what the government didn't want them to see. LOL. Starting a small fire in some bushes behind an apartment when I was like 11 and putting copper, magnesium and just fucking around with it. It was actually a very small fire and much smaller than the typical campfire, but we rightfully got busted with a fire truck that came by. Had to go to fire college and an anti-pyro course. Went trout fishing and kept about 5 illegally sized trout. The river I was on has multiple different zones, all different legal sizes that people can keep, and some zones you can't keep trout of any size. And I thought I was in a certain zone. Never got caught, but if I did, it probably would have been a 300 minus 500 ticket and got the fish confiscated. I thought the postcards in the hotel lobby were free. When I showed my mom in the car, she said that it was stealing, and I had to give it back. On my way back out of the hotel, I walked through their plate glass window. I have scars all over my body now, including one right between my eyes. Lesson learned. Doing the right thing will try to kill you. When I was really little, like toddler, my mother pushed the cart close enough to a fire alarm at the grocery store that my curious hand was able to find it. Owing, I'm sure, to her profound embarrassment and disgust, my mother spent the evening regaling me with the tales of how horrific jail would be and how what I did could lead me there. I was in 8th grade. A girl in my class was bullying me and threatened to kill me in a very graphic and violent way. Told me she'd do it during graduation and then rape me with the knife for everyone to see. I'd had enough of her bullshit. It had been a whole year and no one had done anything. So I said, "Not if I kill you first," which technically is a death threat. A teacher overheard me and I got marched to the principal's office. Principal called the cops and I got screamed at, a grown man inches from my face. spit hitting my cheeks, for about 20 min. He finally got to the point of threatening to take me to jail. I stood up and said, "Do it. Anywhere is better than here." That finally prompted a call to my father, who happened to be a juvenile prosecutor. I still got in school suspension while the bully and everyone got to go on the school field trip, but I didn't get arrested. Not me, but an old friend from church of all places. Every time, while grocery shopping, he would grab one of those pre-made sub sandwiches and chow down. If I recall correctly, you don't have to pay for it if you finish while still shopping. Apparently, he thought it was provided by the store and priced into the grocery items. Another friend had to burst his bubble that you absolutely do have to pay for it, and doing otherwise is theft. He was eating these free sandwiches for months, years of shopping solo, completely ignorant of the truth, until that day. Put Visine in the sauce of my leftovers because I was tired of my leftovers being stolen. Turned out it was the doctor that owned the practice I was working at the time. He felt like shit and fell asleep at his desk in between patients that day, and he never ate my lunch again. We never talked about it. My manager never talked to me about it, but a couple co-workers knew what had happened. I looked it up afterwards and was shocked at just how bad things could have ended, and how lucky Inga that he wasn't seriously injured hurt. But apparently ingesting Visine isn't just a throw-up like Ipecac it had been portrayed to be in the movies. It can cause some serious heart issues and low blood pressure, among other issues. Edit. Ingesting Visine is potentially fatal. Do not poison your food or others' food with it. It's not funny, and it's not a joke. I wish I hadn't done it and would not do it again. I made a serious screw-up as a teenager that could have followed me around for the rest of my life had things gone even slightly differently. When I was 18, my grandmother passed, and I had to go to her funeral in France. I wasn't attached to her since we only met twice, but we needed a member from the North American contingent to make an appearance. I was the volunteer. Turns out she had passed in a small room in an ancient family home in the French countryside. Next to her death room was a huge room full of old bottles of alcohol. No one wanted them. I was 18, so I also volunteered to check the booze. I found a bottle of very old absinthe, like over 100 years old. The seal was intact, so I decided to bring it home to NA. I later found out that absinthe would have counted as a narcotic because of wormwood. I only claimed one bottle of alcohol to customs. I still have it 18 years later, and it tastes disgusting. I passed my driving test on a Wednesday, bought a car on the following Friday, and was commuting to work on the motorway by the following Monday. All good. Fast forward several years. I had to use my car's logbook for something. I think I was changing my insurance company or something. It was a while ago, so memory is hazy. I couldn't find it, so I went fishing around through every drawer in the house, and when that turned up nothing, I started going through old boxes of files and stuff. Eventually, I came across an envelope addressed, in my handwriting, to the DVLA. So I opened it. Inside, I found my driving test pass certificate, all the forms for applying for a full driving license, and a postal order to pay for the license. This sentence alone should tell you how long ago it was. My first realization was that I had done all of the things that I needed to do, except post the damn envelope. My second was that I had been driving for years without a license, which meant that in turn my insurance was invalid, so I was also driving without insurance. Both of these are very much illegal in the UK. I phoned the DVL straight away and explained what had happened, and the person I spoke to said it's not an unusual occurrence, and asked me when I actually passed my test. He winced a bit when I told him, and said that if it had been a couple of years or so, they would have just honored the test certificate and sent me out my license. But since I'd actually been driving like this for 13 years, luckily without a crash or incident, they couldn't do that, so I would have to take my test again, both theory and practical. And that's how I managed to perpetrate a 13-year-long crime spree and pass my driving test twice. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit a like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.